I've covered Fox UPN and some early stuff from the Sci-Fi Channel, so now let's look at the first year of the WB. The WB launched on January 11th, 1995 with a 2-hour lineup of sitcoms. While almost everyone remembers the Wayans brothers, The Parenthood, and if my comments section are any indication, everyone remembers Unhappily Ever After. But what about the other shows that launched that first year? Here's 5 shows from the first year of the WB that you may have missed or forgotten about. And yes, I used Nikki Cox in the thumbnail because that seems to be just about the only thing that gets traction these days. Muscle. Muscle was the third show on launch night, right after the Wayans brothers and Unhappily Ever After. The show was essentially a sitcom about Planet Fitness. Although the show wasn't your typical sitcom, it was more of a parody that poked fun at the countless primetime soap operas that were a big deal at the time. The biggest being the Fox ratings juggernaut, Melrose Place. The show was created by Rob Lazebnik, who before this was an executive producer on the sitcoms Empty Nest and Blossom. This series premiered on January 11th, 1995. This series starts with the death of Big Jim Atkinson, played by Adam West. He's the owner of a very popular chain of gyms, and someone poisons him. His son Kent then spends the rest of the season trying to figure out who poisoned him, and he suspects it's his stepmom, Jane, who is now the president of the company. While West's character died in the pilot episode, he did return once in a while over the season in flashbacks and voiceovers. Kent, the lead for the show, was played by Dan Gutierrez. Before this, he was Lieutenant McKay in Tour of Duty and Brad in Teen Witch. Although his biggest role was Kevin Buchanan in the soap opera One Life to Live, which is probably the role that helped him to land this job. The show also starred Alan Ruck as the psychiatrist, Dr. Gold. The show opened with pretty low view numbers, which were fairly consistent, but still low. The season ended on a cliffhanger, but the show was canceled, so the ending was never resolved. The last episode aired on May 24th, 1995. It ran for one season with 13 episodes. Muscle was the only show in the launch for the WB that was canceled in its first season. The show is not released physically, it's not available for streaming, and aside from a few promo clips, it's not on YouTube. Kirk. Kirk was part of the summer wave of new shows on the WB. The original title for the show was Life Happens. It was originally being made for ABC, who decided to not move forward with it due to them steering away from family-based sitcoms. The pilot was then picked up by the fledgling WB network, and at some point, renamed Kirk. Kirk was a sitcom that revolved around Kirk Cameron and his real-life wife, Chelsea Noble, although in the show they're dating and not yet married. Cameron plays Kirk Hartman, a recent college grad living in Greenwich Village, who's put in charge of taking care of his 2 younger brothers and sister. The show premiered on August 23rd, 1995. The show was a modest hit, pulling in more viewers than Muscle, but not nearly as many as Unhappily Ever After. After 21 episodes, it was renewed for a second season, although they cut the episode order in half. So for season 2, they only requested 11 episodes. Season 2 opened strong, but quickly fell off and the show was canceled. The last episode aired on November 10th, 1996. There was one more episode after that, but it never aired, so the show ended up with 32 episodes, but only 31 made it to broadcast. The show does not have a physical release, it's not available for streaming, and a few random episodes are on YouTube, but not the full series. Simon. This was a show that eluded even me. When I first saw the name, I thought, they gave a sitcom to Simon Rex, didn't they? Nope, this was a Harlan Williams sitcom. Williams stars as Simon Himple. The show is about a stockbroker, played by Jason Bateman, who loses everything and has to move in with his brother Simon, who's kind of an idiot. Although just as Carl moves in, Simon gets a high-paying job with a cable TV network, which sends Carl into a deep depression. He has to swallow his pride when he can't find work, and Simon offers him a job. The show premiered on September 10th, 1995. Every episode of the show after that seems to be Simon does something dumb, but as luck would have it, things turn out great for him, which drives Carl insane. The show didn't catch on, and it was canceled, with the last episode airing on May 24th, 1996. It ran for one season with 21 episodes. The show also did not have a physical release. It's not available for streaming, and the only episode I could find on YouTube was episode 2, which was recorded off of CTV. So it seems the show did make its way to Canada at some point. First time out. First time out is a sitcom. Over on Fox, there was the very successful sitcom Living Single, so they made First Time Out as Latina Living Single. Anyway, First Time Out revolved around a bunch of 20-something girlfriends looking for Mr. Right with silly results. The show premiered on September 10th, 1995. Jackie runs a hair salon, and she shares an apartment with her friends Susan and Dominique, played by a pre-King of Queens Leah Remini. They were hoping for something close to Living Single, but just didn't get the views. The show was canceled, and the last episode aired on December 17th, 1995. The last episode they aired was the Christmas episode, which I'm guessing seemed like a good place to stop since the ratings weren't all that great. They shot 16 episodes, but only aired 12. The show did not get a physical release, it's not available for streaming, and only a few random clips are on YouTube. Cleghorne! I know this may be hard to believe, but this is another sitcom. Cleghorne is a sitcom that was made for stand-up comedian and Saturday Night Live alumni Ellen Cleghorne. The show's about Ellen Carson, a single mom who runs a commercial production company in Soho. She's trying to balance her business life, romantic life, and the life of her 9-year-old daughter. The show premiered on September 10th, 1995. I find it odd that the show is called Cleghorne, but in the series, her last name is Carson. Imagine if Seinfeld was about Jerry Singer. It's not really a nitpick, it's just something that I thought was off. Although I know this isn't the only show to do it, it just always rubs me slightly the wrong way. Anyway, the show did not go over well at all. When the series launched, it was up against Married with Children. After a few weeks, they moved it back to a 9 o'clock time slot, where it lost against Martin. The show was canceled, and the last episode aired on December 17th, 1995. They filmed 15 episodes, but only aired 12. Cleghorne! Never had a physical release. It's not available for streaming, but the first 2 episodes are on YouTube. Cleghorne! Wow, way too many sitcoms on here. I know they're often the cheapest to produce, which is why a lot of networks launch with them, but it seems they relied on them a little too much that first year. Every primetime show they had in 1995 was a sitcom. Well, despite that this batch of programs pretty much underperformed, the WB did later find its footing with shows like Dawson's Creek, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Charmed, Gilmore Girls, and Smallville. It seems in 1995, the only successful shows on the WB were The Parenthood, Sister Sister, which they bought after it got canceled on another network, The Wayans Brothers, and Unhappily Ever After. The WB continued on until 2006 when it was merged with UPN and became the CW. The CW has now been around for 17 years and has outlasted both the WB and UPN. I started wondering why a lot of earlier shows, even the really obscure ones I've covered in previous episodes, often still ended up on YouTube, but only a few bits from these WB shows ended up here. Are they that bad?
I don't know, Carl. You were always the map guy. Me, I was always busy counting the cows.
I had an easier time finding Homeboys in Outer Space, and that's supposed to be one of the worst TV shows of all time, which I very highly disagree with. Not saying that these are some great works that need to be preserved, but a lot of people worked on them, and I'm pretty sure they'd like it if someone was able to still watch them somehow. Anyway, that's all for this week. I'll see you next time.
Hey, Libby, like my dad always said, never be ashamed of the brain surgery. Of course, it took him a little longer to say it, but